Commander Jace Kane was not the kind of man to be easily startled. He had seen asteroid storms the size of small moons, led squads through ambushes on frozen wastelands, and survived shipboard combat that left less seasoned humans screaming in terror. Yet as he stepped onto the surface of the distant world called Veora, he felt a strange sense of unease, something subtle but undeniable. Veora was a jewel of a planet, lush with forests of towering blue-leafed trees and rivers that glowed faintly in the night. The air was breathable for humans, though slightly heavier with an unfamiliar mix of minerals and flora. It was the perfect place for a colony, or so the Human Council had hoped. But the Queel, an alien species whose reputation for intelligence was legendary, considered this territory sacred. Jace's task was simple, or at least it seemed simple. Lead a small human contingent to meet the Queel ambassador, Lyria, and establish peaceful relations. The humans had been exploring nearby star systems, and the Queel were known for sharing knowledge, but only with those they deemed worthy. Diplomacy first, war only if we fail, Jace muttered under his breath, adjusting the strap of his plasma rifle across his chest. The landing site shimmered under Veora's twin suns. A Queel delegation awaited them, their forms elegant and fluid. The Queel were taller than humans, with slender frames and skin that shimmered in shifting shades of silver and blue. Their eyes were large, intelligent, and almost hypnotic. Lyria the ambassador stepped forward, her movements graceful, deliberate, almost like a dance. "Welcome, Commander Kane," she said, her voice melodic yet firm. "We have been expecting your arrival." Jace inclined his head in respect. "Thank you, Ambassador Lyria. Humans come in peace. We hope to learn and share knowledge, not take it by force." The Queel studied him for a long moment, tilting their heads in unison. Finally, Lyria gestured toward a crystalline structure at the edge of the clearing. "Then come. We will show you our technology. Perhaps it can teach you more than words alone." Jace followed cautiously, aware of the whispers among his own team. Human soldiers were trained to expect traps anywhere, but Veora's beauty was disarming. The crystalline building hummed softly as they entered, the walls glowing faintly with a pulsing light. Inside, machinery of unknown function spun and shifted, defying human understanding. "This is the knowledge chamber," Lyria explained. "Here, our science and art are one. Our tools are delicate but powerful. They respond not only to thought but also to the emotional state of those who interact with them." Jace frowned. "Emotional state? You mean like mind reading?" Lyria smiled faintly. "Something like that. But it is not reading. It is connection." As they moved deeper into the chamber, one particular device caught Jace's eye. It was a tall structure of transparent metal, filled with swirling colors, that seemed alive. Before he could comment, a faint alarm echoed through the room. "Commander Kane, please be careful," one of his soldiers shouted, but it was too late. Jace's hand brushed against the device, and immediately a wave of energy pulsed through him. He staggered, his vision blurring. Lyria reached out instinctively, and the device reacted again. Colors spinning faster, a low hum growing to a resonant roar. "Step back," Jace shouted, but neither he nor Lyria could move. The energy seemed to bind them together, flowing from the device into their bodies in a strange, intimate way. And then, as suddenly as it had started, it stopped. Silence filled the chamber, broken only by the quiet breathing of the humans. Lyria blinked at Jace, her large eyes wide. This should not have happened. Jace, still recovering, ran a hand through his short, dark hair. I didn't do anything. Did I break?" You did not," Lyria said, her voice trembling slightly. "But the device reacted to both of us, in a way it was never meant to. It bonded us, biologically." Jace's stomach sank. He had heard of human Queel incompatibilities before, though nothing like this. Biologically? What does that mean exactly? Lyria looked down, her glowing hands wringing together. "It means we may produce a child." The words hit Jace like a plasma blast, He staggered back, grasping the edge of the crystalline wall. "A child? With you?" "Yes," she admitted softly. "It was not intended, but the connection is real, and it cannot be undone easily." The room went silent. Even the human soldiers trained for combat against unknown horrors looked shocked. They knew that accidental bonds between species were extremely rare, almost unheard of. What do we do now?" Jace finally asked, his voice low. "We must keep this secret," Lyria said. "The Council cannot know. If they did, there would be political chaos. Some would see it as an abomination. Others might try to exploit it." Jace ran his hands through his face. "Great, just great. I survive countless battles across the galaxy, and somehow the most dangerous thing I do is this." Lyria gave a small, sad smile. "You are not to blame. Neither am I. It was an accident, but we must act carefully." For the next hours, Jace and Lyria moved through the city in an uneasy silence. They learned about each other's cultures, the humans' reliance on courage and ingenuity, the Queel's philosophy of connection and balance. The bond, invisible yet present, made them hyper-aware of one another. Even a glance or a subtle shift in posture could send faint ripples through their shared energy. At one point, a young Queel approached them with a device in hand. "Ambassador, the Council asks for a demonstration of your joint capabilities." Lyria's eyes widened. "We cannot. It is not ready." But Jace stepped forward, his warrior instincts kicking in. "If this is a test, let's pass it together." Reluctantly, they entered a chamber filled with floating orbs of light. Lyria gestured toward the orbs, and Jace instinctively reached out. The moment their hands touched, the orbs reacted. They floated faster, changing color, arranging themselves into patterns neither human nor Queel could predict. A quiet murmur ran through the observation room, human and Queel alike impressed by the demonstration. "Remarkable," one Queel official whispered. "They are attuned in ways we did not anticipate." Jace glanced at Lyria, her face mirrored, his own mix of awe and concern. This was not just a display of skill, it was evidence of the bond, a visible manifestation of the connection they could not ignore. Afterward, they walked back in silence. Jace finally broke it. "Lyria, this is going to change everything. Not just for us, but for everyone. How do we even start to handle that?" "You start by surviving the next few days," she said, her tone tinged with humor but also seriousness. "Then we plan, and we stay hidden." Jace nodded slowly, still trying to wrap his mind around the reality. He had faced alien warlords, asteroid storms, and cybernetic assassins, but nothing had prepared him for the possibility of fathering a child with an alien species he barely understood. As night fell over Veora, the twin moons casting silver light across the forests, Jace and Lyria sat in quiet reflection. Somewhere deep inside, a new life had already begun, a life that could unite two species or tear them apart. Neither of them knew what the future held, but one thing was certain. Their lives had changed forever, and somewhere in the quiet of the alien city, the faint pulse of the bonding device echoed, a reminder that accidents, however strange, could have consequences far beyond imagination. Jace stared at the stars visible through the crystalline ceiling, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "Well," he muttered to himself, "guess I've got a new kind of battle ahead. One I can't shoot my way out of." Lyria placed a hand on his arm, a gentle but firm gesture. "We face it together, Commander. Whatever comes." The day after the accident, Commander Jace Kane felt as if the universe itself was watching him. Every movement, every thought seemed to echo in a strange, invisible connection with Ambassador Lyria. He could sense her moods almost as clearly as his own. It was disorienting, unnerving, and more than a little frightening. The human soldiers stationed on Veora were busy surveying the forested borders, unaware of the invisible tether linking their commander to the alien ambassador. Jace had requested discretion. They knew only that he and Lyria were engaged in sensitive diplomatic work. None of them suspected the truth. Lyria, meanwhile, walked through the streets of the Queel capital with a mixture of pride and fear. The city itself was a marvel of organic technology. Towers grew like trees, their surfaces covered with bioluminescent patterns that shifted in response to the citizens' emotions. Bridges connected spires without visible support, hovering as if by magic. Yet beneath the beauty, the political tension was palpable. "Lyria," Jace said, his voice low as they entered the central plaza. "We need to talk. Alone." She nodded. The plaza cleared quickly as citizens instinctively gave the ambassador and the human warrior space. It was not fear. They respected her immensely, but the bond between them was already apparent to those sensitive to energy shifts. "What?" "We're facing... It's more complicated than I imagined," Jace began. "This bond, it's not just a minor accident. You said we might produce a child. What does that mean for us?" Lyria sighed. "It means everything is now different for both of us. My people do not understand human reproduction, and humans barely understand our biology. The child, if it develops, will be unique. Part human, part Queel. A first of its kind." Jace ran a hand over his face. "A first of its kind. Fantastic. Just what the galaxy needs. Another problem for me to solve." She gave a faint, dry smile. "I do not see it as a problem. I see it as a possibility. But you must understand our society will not accept this easily. The Council has strict rules about reproduction and lineage. If they discover what happened, there could be consequences." "What kind of consequences?" Jace asked, his voice tight. Lyria's expression darkened. Some would call it an abomination. Others would try to control it, perhaps even weaponize it. "You must keep this secret, Commander. For now, only we can know." Jace nodded, the weight of responsibility settling on him like armor. "Understood. We keep it secret. But what about the changes?" "I can feel you, Lyria. Every thought, every emotion. It's distracting. And a little overwhelming." She reached out, her fingers brushing his arm. The simple touch sent a wave of warmth and calm through him. "It will be strongest at first," she said softly. "The bond will settle over time. But it cannot be ignored. You will feel it. You cannot unfeel it." Jace exhaled slowly. "Great. So not only am I dealing with alien politics and diplomacy, but I'm also bonded." "Lovely." For the next few days, they walked a delicate line. Jace met with other Queel officials, discussing trade, technology, and interstellar mapping. Lyria observed silently, often correcting subtle cultural missteps. The bond, invisible to the rest of the world, made every conversation tense. Jace could feel her thoughts, her subtle anxieties, even when she tried to hide them. It was as if he were reading a diary written in real time. Meanwhile, Lyria's body began responding to the bond in subtle ways. She felt waves of nausea and fatigue, strange cravings for foods that were normally unpleasant to the Queel, and bursts of energy that came without warning. Jace noticed these changes too, though he did not fully understand their meaning. On the fourth day, a Queel counselor named Virek summoned Lyria. Jace was not invited. He could feel her anxiety through the bond, sharp and insistent. She excused herself and left the room quietly. Jace waited outside, pacing the plaza. His mind raced with possibilities. Was Virek suspicious? Had the council discovered the bond already? Every shadow seemed to conceal spies, every whisper a potential threat. Hours passed. When Lyria returned, her face was pale, her steps hesitant. "Virek knows something is unusual," she admitted. "He did not say so openly, but he suspects there is a connection. We must be more careful." Jace's jaw tightened. "Suspects? We haven't even confirmed the child yet, and he already suspects?" "Yes," Lyria said. "He watches us closely." If he reports anything, the council could act immediately. That is why we must move cautiously. You must leave the city at times, or he will notice patterns. We cannot let anyone know how close our bond has become." Jace rubbed his temples. Clever little aliens, always one step ahead. That evening, as the twin moons rose over the Queel city, Jace and Lyria sat on a balcony overlooking the bioluminescent forest. The air was thick with the scents of alien flowers, sweet and sharp at the same time. "I don't know how I'm supposed to act normal around my team," Jace muttered. "They notice everything. One wrong look, one offhand comment, and boom, they start asking questions." "You will act as you always do," Lyria said softly. "Your team trusts you. They do not need to know everything. Only the bond between us carries this danger. Keep them unaware and nothing will change, at least for now." Jace stared out at the horizon, where the forests met the glowing rivers. "It's strange," he said. "I've fought wars, survived ambushes, even lived through a starship crash. But this feels harder. Because it's personal. Because it's permanent." "Yes," Lyria agreed. "And because it changes the future in ways neither of our peoples can predict." The following days were a careful dance. Jace participated in strategic discussions, always aware of Lyria's presence, always conscious of the subtle pull of the bond. They practiced conversations in private, rehearsing the lies and half-truths they would tell if questions arose. Each slip could reveal more than intended. One afternoon, during a meeting with human engineers visiting the Queel city, Jace excused himself. He needed a moment of privacy, a place where he could think without the constant hum of alien attention. He wandered the streets until he found a quiet garden, a place where luminescent flowers glowed in gentle patterns. Lyria found him there, silently sitting on a stone bench. "You cannot isolate yourself entirely," she said, joining him. "You must continue to interact with others. Suspicion grows when someone disappears too often." "I know," Jace replied. "But I feel out of control. Everything's changed. The bond. It's like I'm constantly aware of you, even when I try not to be. And now I'm supposed to hide it, act normal, and not panic." Lyria reached out, resting a hand on his shoulder. "You are stronger than you realize. That is why the Council chose you for this mission. Not for your ability to fight, but for your ability to endure. And this is endurance of a different kind." He looked at her, the weight of responsibility pressing down. "What if we fail?" "We will not fail," she said, voice steady. "But we must be careful. Virek and others may suspect. But they cannot act without proof. That is our advantage. For now." Days turned into a week. The subtle changes in Lyria became more pronounced. She began experiencing vivid dreams, visions of a child that did not yet exist, but which seemed already part of her consciousness. Jace, through the bond, shared in these visions. At first they were frightening, a flood of unknown sensations. But slowly, he began to understand them. Glimpses of a future that might unite humans and Queel in ways neither species had imagined. One evening, a group of Queel officials approached the balcony where Jace and Lyria often met in private. Virek was among them, his gaze sharp, calculating. "Ambassador Lyria," he said smoothly, "we are concerned about the intensity of your collaboration with Commander Kane. Such closeness is unusual, is it not?" Jace felt the bond tense. Lyria responded carefully, her voice polite. "Commander Kane is here to learn our ways. My guidance is part of the mission, nothing more." Virek studied them, his large eyes narrowing slightly. "Very well. But the Council watches. Clarity is important, is it not?" "Yes," Lyria said. "Of course." As they left, Jace exhaled silently. "He's suspicious. That was too close." "Yes," Lyria admitted, "but he has no proof. Yet. That is all we can rely on for now." That night, under the twin moons, Jace and Lyria sat in quiet reflection. The bond pulsed faintly between them, a reminder of the secret they carried. The future was uncertain, dangerous, and unprecedented. But together, they felt a spark of hope, a chance that this accidental bond could become a bridge rather than a weapon. Jace looked at Lyria and nodded. "We'll do it. We'll survive this secret. And whatever comes next, we face it together." She smiled, a mixture of relief and resolve. Together. Weeks passed on Veora, and the invisible bond between Commander Jace Kane and Ambassador Lyria grew stronger, more tangible. It was no longer just a strange energy or fleeting awareness. It had become part of their daily lives. Jace could feel Lyria's emotions before she spoke, her exhaustion before it showed on her face, and now, a new reality pressed on them both. The child they had accidentally begun to create was developing faster than either species expected. Lyria had begun experiencing undeniable signs. She moved slower than usual, her senses heightened, in ways humans could barely comprehend. She often paused to rest in quiet chambers, listening to the faint pulses of life within her. Jace, attuned through their bond, felt every stir of change, the shifts in her energy, the sudden surges of warmth, and the faint pulses that hinted at something alive growing inside her. "Commander," Lyria said one morning as they walked along a floating bridge in the Queel city, "we cannot remain here much longer. The Council's scrutiny is increasing. Virek's suspicion is sharp. I can feel him watching us at all times." Jace nodded. "We'll leave for the station. Neutral, ground. Away from the Council's eyes." The neutral station orbited Veora at a safe distance, a place where humans and Queel had agreed to meet for research and diplomacy. It was an artificial moon of sorts, a bustling hub of ships, scientists, and diplomats. Here, they would be safe from prying eyes and could prepare for the changes ahead. The journey to the station was tense. Jace sat quietly in the pilot seat, eyes fixed on the stars. The bond made him aware of Lyria's every thought, her every worry. It was unnerving, at times. "Are you nervous?" Lyria asked, her voice soft. "Always," Jace admitted. "But this is different. I've fought aliens who wanted to kill me, navigated storms in uncharted space, survived firefights. But this is personal, and I can't fight it with weapons." She gave a faint smile. "It is not a battle of weapons, it is a battle of patience, understanding, and care, and we will win it together." Once they arrived at the station, the first challenge became clear. Human and Queel. Scientists were fascinated by Lyria's condition. Though she did not yet reveal the truth, she and Jace had to walk a delicate line, appearing as ordinary diplomats while managing a secret that could change the galaxy. Lyria was monitored carefully, though officially for routine health checks. Unofficially, the bond allowed Jace to detect any minor shifts in her physiology. He watched as tiny changes hinted at the child's presence, subtle energy pulses, minor shifts in the patterns of her bioluminescent skin, and a growing awareness that something new and extraordinary was developing. One evening, while the station glowed softly under the light of nearby stars, Lyria confided in Jace. "Commander, I feel it now. The connection is strong. I can sense it even beyond the bond we share." Jace looked at her, worry and awe warring on his face. "How strong?" "Powerful enough that I fear discovery. But it is also wondrous," she said. "I can feel the intelligence already, thoughts, curiosity, and even emotions. This child is unlike anything either of our species has known." Jace exhaled slowly. "Great, so we're parents now and this kid's going to be a prodigy? Fantastic." The bond continued to make ordinary moments intense. When Lyria slept, Jace could feel the child stirring, responding to her emotions, even to his own presence. Each pulse of life felt like a tiny miracle, and a reminder of the responsibility they now carried. As days turned into weeks, the political tension around them increased. Virek and the Council had not yet discovered the truth, but their suspicions had grown. Reports of Lyria's frequent absences and unusual energy readings had reached ears in the capital. Jace knew that if they delayed too long, action could be taken that might threaten both Lyria and the child. To protect them, Jace began taking more active steps. He coordinated with human security teams, discreetly ensuring that the station was secure. He arranged patrols, monitored communications, and even trained Lyria in basic self-defense, though her natural agility made it almost unnecessary. One afternoon, while reviewing station security logs, Jace noticed a faint energy signature moving through one of the maintenance corridors. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but he felt the hairs on his neck rise. "Lyria," he said, placing a hand on her arm. "Someone's here. Someone is trying to probe the station." Lyria's eyes widened. "We must act carefully. If this is Virek's doing, we cannot confront him openly." Together they moved silently through the corridors, the bond sharpening their coordination. When they reached the source, they found a young Queel operative attempting to access the laboratory where Lyria's condition was being studied. Jace stepped forward, his presence commanding. "Stop right there," he said firmly. The operative froze, sensing not only Jace's authority but the subtle power of the bond. Lyria stepped forward, her voice calm but unyielding. "You are far from home. Turn back or you will face consequences you do not understand." The operative hesitated, then bowed slightly and retreated. Jace watched the figure disappear, then turned to Lyria. "That was close." "Yes," she agreed. "Too close. We must be more vigilant. The child is no longer just a secret. It is a beacon, whether we like it or not." As the weeks continued, Lyria's pregnancy advanced. The child's growth was rapid, far beyond what humans considered normal, but within the range of Queel biology. Still, the combination of human and Queel DNA created traits that puzzled even the most advanced scientists. Jace often spent hours at her side, feeling every pulse of energy, every stir of movement. He talked to the child as if it could understand him, and in a way it did. The bond allowed subtle communication, a flicker of awareness that made him both proud and wary. One night, as the station rotated gently around Veora, Lyria awoke, with a start. "The child is active," she whispered, her hand resting on her abdomen. "Feel this." Jace placed his hand over hers. Immediately, he felt a burst of energy, a conscious pulse, deliberate and unmistakable. The child seemed to be reaching out, testing the boundaries of the bond, exploring the world even before birth. "It's intelligent," Jace said, awe in his voice. "Already curious, already aware. I didn't expect this." "You should not underestimate what is possible," Lyria replied. "The combination of our species, it is unprecedented. We are creating something entirely new." The days that followed were both exhilarating and exhausting. Lyria's body continued to change, the bond intensified, and the child's awareness grew. Jace learned to read the subtle pulses of energy, interpreting curiosity, contentment, and even mild frustration. It was like learning a new language, one that transcended species, culture, and even conscious thought. Despite the wonder, danger loomed. Reports of the Council's inquiries had reached the station, though filtered through diplomatic channels. Virek's suspicions were growing, and it was only a matter of time before someone tried to uncover the truth. To prepare, Jace began training in secret. He and Lyria practiced evacuation protocols, emergency containment procedures, and methods to mask the bond from detection. Each exercise brought them closer, not just as co-parents, but as partners facing a challenge unlike any the galaxy had seen. One evening, while observing the child's energy pulses, Lyria turned to Jace. "Do you understand what this means?" "I think so," Jace replied slowly. "We're not just keeping a secret. We're raising the first bridge between our species. The first proof that humans and Queel can coexist in a way no one imagined." She nodded. "And yet we must be careful. One wrong move, one hint of exposure, and it could be catastrophic." But I believe in this child. I believe in us. Jace placed a hand over hers, their bond thrumming quietly. I believe too. Whatever comes, we face it together. The galaxy doesn't know it yet, but they're about to meet someone extraordinary, and in the quiet hum of the station, the child moved again. Stronger this time, reaching out not just to its parents, but to the universe itself. A new life had begun, one that promised hope, unity, and a future neither humans nor Queel could have imagined. Jace watched the stars, feeling the weight of responsibility and the spark of hope. He was no longer just a warrior. He was a father, and a guardian of the first child to bridge two worlds. The galaxy had no idea how remarkable this child would become. The neutral space station hummed with activity, but Commander Jace Kane felt a tension that no mechanical noise could mask. Lyria's pregnancy had advanced rapidly, and the child's presence was no longer a secret to them. It radiated through the bond, pulsing with life, intelligence, and strange energy. Jace had grown used to feeling the child's movements before Lyria did, a subtle thrum of curiosity and awareness. Yet the world outside their small sanctuary was growing dangerous. Virek, the sharp and calculating Queel counselor, had begun to stir whispers of suspicion among other officials. Though no one had proof, the energy anomalies around Lyria were difficult to ignore. We cannot wait much longer, Lyria said one evening, standing beside the observation deck overlooking Veora. The twin moons bathed her in silver light, highlighting the subtle glow of her bioluminescent skin. Virek's suspicions are reaching the council. If he acts, the child and we will be in danger. Jace, arms crossed, looked out at the alien forests below. Then we fight first, not with weapons, but with proof. We show them the child is not a threat. It's something else entirely. Something else entirely? Lyria repeated, a small smile on her lips. Yes, that is one way to put it. The first test came sooner than expected. An urgent transmission reached the station. A hostile alien faction, the Kreth, had attacked a nearby human colony. They had no alliance with the Queel, no interest in diplomacy. They sought only conquest. Jace's instincts kicked in. We're going. Now. Lyria. We take the station's ships and respond. We cannot let innocent lives be lost. Lyria hesitated. And the child? The child stays with me, Jace said firmly. We cannot risk leaving them vulnerable. I will protect both of you. The station's fleet mobilized quickly under human command. Lyria assisted with strategy, her mind sharp and calculating even in her advanced pregnancy. Jace's soldiers were tense but motivated. For once, their leader's personal stake was not abstract. It was life itself. As they approached the colony, the Kreth ships came into view. Sleek, black warcraft bristling with weapons that could tear a starship apart. Jace's heart pounded, but his focus was razor-sharp. He had faced enemies before, but nothing had prepared him for the dual challenge of combat and protecting a child still in its prenatal stage. The first shots rang out. Plasma beams cut through the void, lighting the blackness with deadly precision. Jace piloted the lead ship, coordinating attacks while watching over Lyria through the bond. He could feel her fear, her determination, and the subtle pulse of the child between them. It was as if the unborn child guided them, offering intuition, insight, and an almost supernatural awareness of the battlefield. Commander Kane, one of his lieutenants said, voice tight over comms. They're overwhelming us. We need reinforcements. Hold position, Jace replied. Trust the bond. Follow my lead. Everyone stay sharp, move as one. The battle escalated. Kreth ships swarmed, attempting to flank the human vessels. Jace's instincts honed over. Countless missions guided every maneuver, but he noticed something extraordinary. Every time he coordinated with Lyria through the bond, his decisions seemed sharper, almost predictive. Missiles veered off course as if anticipating Kreth movements. Shields held just long enough to absorb critical hits. Lyria's voice came through, calm and precise. Commander, the child is influencing our perception. Focus on flow, not reaction. Let instinct guide you. Jace blinked. The child can do that? Yes, she said. In subtle ways. They are aware even now. Use it. He did. And slowly the tide of the battle shifted. Human ships moved with uncanny coordination, anticipating Kreth attacks, exploiting weaknesses and striking with precision. Within minutes, the enemy fleet was in disarray, their ships retreating under relentless human Queel tactics. When the last Kreth vessel fled into hyperspace, Jace exhaled, feeling both relief and awe. I don't know how we did that. But we did it. You did it, Lyria corrected gently. The child guided us. Even in the womb, they are extraordinary. The victory sent ripples across both human and Queel political circles. News of the battle and the uncanny effectiveness of Jace and Lyria's team reached council ears. Virek, who had been so sure he would use suspicion to gain advantage, found himself watching in frustration as admiration for the human warrior and the Queel ambassador spread. But the battle was only the beginning. Questions arose almost immediately. How had the humans anticipated the Kreth attacks? How had they coordinated so flawlessly with alien allies? Whispers of unnatural influence spread. Some believed it was luck, others strategy, but a few sensitive. Queel sensed something more. Back on the station, Jace and Lyria spoke quietly, aware that their bond was now more visible than ever. They're starting to notice, Jace said. Not the child directly, but the connection. We have to be ready for questions, or worse. Lyria nodded. We will, but the child has shown us something important. Unity is possible. Humans and Queel together can achieve more than either alone. This is the proof. Days later, the first signs of the child's abilities became undeniable. Lyria felt sudden shifts in her body, stirring, pulses of energy, and flashes of intelligence that could not be explained by normal pregnancy. Jace could feel it too, a faint consciousness stretching beyond simple awareness. The child's presence was becoming active, interacting with the world through subtle energy, almost as if testing the boundaries of life outside the womb. One afternoon, an alarm sounded in the station's control room. A minor meteor storm threatened the orbital docking bays. Normally this would have caused panic, but Jace felt a faint pull in the bond. Lyria reached out instinctively, and together they felt a surge of energy. The child responding. Move. The ships, Jace said quickly. Now. Despite minimal input from station systems, every ship in the docking bays responded with perfect timing. Cranes adjusted, shields strengthened, and small docking shuttles navigated through the meteor field without damage. When the storm passed, the staff looked around in stunned silence. What just happened? One technician asked. Jace and Lyria exchanged a glance. The bond pulsed gently, a reminder of the secret they carried. Nothing, Lyria said softly. Just careful planning. But Jace knew better. The child was no longer just a symbol of unity. They were already influencing reality even before birth. And if the galaxy learned of this, some would worship it, and others would fear it. Political storms brewed alongside these displays of power. Virek intensified his surveillance, sending operatives and monitors to record the strange events around. Lyria, human diplomats at the station began whispering, speculating, and questioning, though none could articulate the truth. Jace realized that to protect the child, they would need to act decisively. He convened a secret council of trusted humans and Queel allies, sharing only what was necessary. We cannot hide forever, he said. The child will grow, and the world will see them. Our job is to guide it, protect it, and show everyone that they are a bridge, not a threat. Lyria added, her voice steady. We must also teach them. Even now they are aware. They will learn from our guidance, our values, and our courage. That is how we shape the future. As the weeks passed, the child's development became increasingly apparent. Lyria felt new patterns of thought and awareness, tiny flashes of curiosity, recognition of Jace's presence, and even attempts to influence minor events around the station. Jace marveled at the child's intelligence. "I've seen brave soldiers, brilliant engineers, cunning tacticians," he said one evening, holding Lyria's hand. "But nothing like this. This child, they're different, and in the right hands, they could change everything." "Yes," Lyria agreed, "but we must remain vigilant. Some will fear what they cannot understand. We protect them, not just from enemies, but from ignorance." As the twin moons rose over Veora, casting silver light through the station's observation deck, Jace and Lyria stood together. The bond hummed quietly between them, a subtle reminder of the life growing within Lyria and of the extraordinary potential that life carried. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. A child was about to enter a universe unprepared for them, and with courage, intelligence, and unity at their core, they would leave a mark no species could ignore. Jace looked at Lyria, his resolve firm. "Whatever comes, we face it together. The world can try to stop us, but it won't succeed. Not when we have this bond, and not when we have our child." Lyria smiled, her eyes glowing faintly. "Together, Commander. Always together." The day had come. Lyria's pregnancy reached its final stage, and the neutral space station was buzzing with tension. Jace Kane had never felt a responsibility like this. Every battle he had fought, every war he had survived, felt small compared to the challenge before him, protecting the birth of a child that could change the future of two species. Lyria rested in a specially prepared chamber, surrounded by the quiet hum of advanced Queel medical technology. Bioluminescent panels adjusted their glow to provide comfort and calm. Jace sat beside her, hands clasped over hers, feeling the steady pulse of life inside her, a rhythm both human and alien. "The child is ready," Lyria whispered, her voice calm but filled with awe. "I can feel them, strong, aware, waiting." Jace nodded, swallowing hard. "Then let's bring them into the world. Safe, protected, and ready for whatever comes next." The bond between them pulsed gently, a steady reminder of the life they shared. It was no longer a secret, at least to them. It was a promise, a bridge between two worlds. The birth was extraordinary. Lyria's body glowed faintly, pulses of energy radiating through the room as the child emerged. Jace reached out instinctively, feeling a surge of consciousness unlike anything he had experienced. The child's eyes opened, glowing softly, and immediately they reached toward him and Lyria, not with hands, but with awareness. "It's intelligent," Jace breathed, awe in his voice. "Already aware of us, already on learning." "Yes," Lyria said softly. "Part human, part Queel, but more than that, something new, something unique." The child, whom they named Queel, displayed abilities that defied normal understanding. Through the bond, Queel could sense emotion, intention, and even faint energy flows in the room. Jace marveled at the strength and clarity of their awareness. Queel looked at Jace, then Lyria, and emitted a soft pulse, a subtle communication through the bond. It was simple, yet profound. A greeting, a recognition, and a connection that transcended language. The first hours passed in quiet wonder. Jace held Queel close, feeling the tiny heartbeat, the gentle pulses of energy, and the unmistakable spark of potential. Lyria rested beside them, her hand on Queel's small form, eyes bright with tears of joy and relief. But celebration was not yet complete. Virek and other Queel counselors had grown suspicious, and human diplomats at the station were quietly observing. Jace knew that Queel's birth would soon be the center of attention, both for curiosity and for fear. The first test came sooner than expected. A delegation of Queel officials, led by Virek himself, arrived at the station under the pretense of diplomatic observation. Jace and Lyria prepared carefully. Every word, every gesture, every pulse of the bond was managed to protect Queel. Virek's eyes widened when he saw the child. He sensed immediately that this was no ordinary birth. Queel's presence radiated intelligence and energy far beyond normal Queel or human children. The bond between the parents and the child was unmistakable. "This is impossible," Virek said, voice tight. "How?" Jace stepped forward, calm but authoritative. "It is real. Queel is part human, part Queel, and more than either of us expected. They are a bridge between our species," Lyria added, her tone steady. "Queel's abilities are unique, yes, but they are proof that we can work together. Not as enemies, not as rivals, but as allies. This child represents hope, not danger," the counselors murmured among themselves. Some were afraid, some were curious. But Queel, even at moments old, projected a calm, intelligent awareness that demanded attention. Jace realized that the child was not only remarkable in ability, but also in presence. Every observer could sense it, even if they did not fully understand. It was impossible to deny Queel's significance. Over the next few days, humans and Queel began tentative cooperation around Queel. Scientists and diplomats alike studied the child, but with careful respect. Jace and Lyria set strict boundaries. Queel was not a tool, not a weapon, not an experiment. Queel was a child and a symbol. The first demonstration of Queel's abilities occurred during a routine station drill. A sudden malfunction in the docking bay caused panic. Small ships were at risk of collision. Alarms blared. Jace felt Queel stir, a subtle pulse through the bond. Instinctively, he looked at Lyria, who nodded. They focused together, projecting calm, focus, and direction. Amazingly, Queel's tiny presence influenced the energy flows in the room. Shields adjusted automatically. Ships veered slightly off course in perfect synchronization. The malfunction passed without damage. Humans and Queel alike stared, stunned. "It's guiding them," one Queel scientist whispered. "Even in infancy, it understands the environment." Jace felt a swell of pride. "That's my kid," he muttered under his breath, holding Lyria's hand. "Our kid, and they're incredible." Word spread across both human and Queel territories. News of Queel's abilities, combined with the story of their birth, captured imaginations everywhere. Many saw Queel as a symbol of hope, of unity. Some feared the child's potential, but most agreed. The galaxy had never seen anything like this. Soon, Queel's presence became a catalyst for peace. Small disputes between humans and Queel colonies resolved more quickly, as both sides recognized the potential of cooperation. Jace and Lyria guided Queel carefully, teaching them about both cultures, languages, and ethics. Queel absorbed knowledge at an astonishing rate, often anticipating outcomes before others could act. Virek, though initially resistant, could not deny the child's significance. He approached Jace privately one evening. "This changes everything," Virek admitted. "I opposed your actions at first, but now I see that the child is a bridge, perhaps even the key to a new era." Jace nodded. "It's more than just politics. Queel represents what humans and Queel can achieve together. If we nurture them, if we guide them, the galaxy will be better for it." Virek studied Queel quietly. The child emitted a small pulse, a gesture of connection. The counselor's eyes softened. "Perhaps this is the future." Months passed, and Queel grew quickly. While still a child, their abilities and intelligence far surpassed expectations. They could sense emotions, predict minor events, and even subtly influence energy fields around them. Jace and Lyria taught Queel both human courage and Queel wisdom, ensuring that their child's abilities would be guided by compassion and reason. The final turning point came when a rival alien faction, the Kreth, attempted another attack on Veora. This time, humans and Queel responded together, coordinating fleets and defenses under Queel's subtle guidance. The child, even without leaving Lyria's side, influenced the flow of the battle through the bond. Ships maneuvered perfectly. Shields held. Kreth forces were repelled without loss. Afterward, leaders from both species convened on the neutral station. Jace and Lyria stood with Queel at their side, holding the child for all to see. "This child," Jace said, voice clear and commanding, "is not a weapon. They are proof that unity is possible. Humans and Queel can work together. We can protect each other. We can create a future where both our species thrive," Lyria added, her voice steady and proud. "Queel represents hope, intelligence, and courage. We ask that all who see them treat them with respect and learn from them as we have." The room fell silent. For a moment it seemed as if the galaxy itself was holding its breath. Then slowly, applause and acknowledgement spread. The first, truly united council of humans and Queel recognized that this was more than a child. Queel was a symbol, a bridge, a promise. In the quiet of the observation deck later, Jace looked at Queel sleeping in Lyria's arms. The bond pulsed softly, a gentle reminder of the extraordinary connection that had begun with an accident in a distant alien lab. "We did it," Jace whispered. "We survived. And we changed the galaxy." Lyria smiled, eyes glowing softly. "Yes, together we changed it. And Queel will carry it further than we ever could." Outside, the twin moons of Veora shone over the city, over the forests, and over the stars beyond. Somewhere in the vastness of space, humans and Queel looked at one another differently now, aware that the impossible was possible, that unity was not just a dream, and that courage, intelligence, and compassion could bridge worlds. Jace, Lyria, and Queel looked at the stars together. The future was wide, full of unknowns, but for the first time it was also full of hope. And Queel, the first child of human and Queel, would lead the way. The galaxy would never be the same.